Los Angeles.
I keep on dancing for
What were you listening to on your AM transistor radio back in the 60s when you were a kid, Bob?
93 KHJ.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the real Don Steele.
KHJ Los Angeles.
Hello, this is the real Don Steele. Join me on Boss Radio from 3 to 6 p.m.
The real Don Steele. 93 KHJ.
And I am Pops here on Talk Hard. Hopefully you're having a wonderful Tuesday because we are going to talk hard tonight for sure. Pulp Fiction, 30 years later. Holy cow. Hit me a little, hit me in the feels a little bit, feeling a little old. So I guess I need to go to the bottom where I belong, put this man on top. IRONCASTER, my brother. What is going on?
Well, you know how it goes. Zed's dead.
Zed is dead. Zed is dead. You definitely can relate to some of these moments. I think I loved talking with you backstage a little bit before we started, how certain things you didn't remember. So that's kind of a interesting perspective on things.
Yeah, I mean, this one's kind of a fascinating one to have gotten a chance to finally sit down and kind of rewatch through for the sake of the show here, because to be quite honest, I think it's been a number of years since I watched this, and I could see why so many people hold this movie up in such a high regards. It is so quotable. It's one I want to go rewatch. I want to go rewatch certain parts for it because I think there's some spectacular dialogue.
Yeah. First off, Tarantino, and as we bag on Tarantino, know that it's coming from a man of love and respect. He is someone that I truly have always been inspired by, and always just loved the fact that he was basically one of us. The dude that works at a video store and becomes a filmmaker is a really cool journey. There's actually a pretty easy to read paperback that you can probably get in used bookstores now on it, and really kind of goes into that, how he did Reservoir Dogs, how he got the money. He did the rewrite on Crimson Tide and True Romance. Some of these things that were, key to getting this movie made. But yeah, I think if you go back to, and also just the Jackrabbit Slim scene, when you go back and you want to pause and just go deep diving into Jane Mansfield, and no, go into all the little celebrity cameos of who everybody is, the Ed Sullivan references, and obviously Marilyn Monroe. I think everybody kind of gets that one, but do you get all the others? And I think the answer is probably widely no. Super cool. So yeah, anyway, great. It'll be great to have your perspective on that too.
Yeah, there's a lot of fascination here because I feel like this is a movie where I'm kind of really getting a chance to get to know who Tarantino is and how much of a love and affection the man has for Hollywood, for film, for the art of storytelling, and just the movie has so much of that all sprinkled all throughout it. Just almost every scene, someone's making dialogue references to pop culture, to some little bit of history that just feels kind of reminiscent of the way we would kind of normally talk about these things.
I agree.
Like we'll be in our group chat, or we'll be backstage somewhere. We're kind of talking about other films that are kind of coming on. It's like, yeah, this feels right.
Yep. Well, SQUEEKA, it was your first time watching this. Do you have a kind of a big picture takeaway that you had?
I loved the storytelling aspect of it. Like, it was very, at first when you start in on it, it was very convoluted, and I was like, okay, what are these people playing? And then they don't go back to it. But then it builds up, and then you see all the pieces kind of come together throughout the rest of the movie. And I love the way that things kind of started being put together, and it's like, oh, that's right. And it makes you think about the beginning of the movie. And to me, that really, like, I want to go back and watch it again, because that adds to the rewatchability of it, because you want to go back and watch it again to start over, because you know how the ending is and you know where all the little pieces are. So you want to look for all those tidbits in the first half of the movie that seem a little disjointed at first.
Now, does it make you want to go watch a version of the movie that has it in like a proper order to see like what would be the sequential order of the events?
Actually, no, I don't want to see the order of events.
Blasphemy.
I liked it. I liked it the way it was, because to me that adds to the curiosity of the movie.
I mean, there's kind of this idea to it where it's like he starts it where he starts telling a story, but then he's kind of sidetracked by this other little thing over here he wants to tell you about, only to try to get back to where he was trying to tell you where the story was from before.
Yeah, especially like at the end when you find out why they're in the strange suits, the strange like jogging suit and t-shirt. Yeah, and it's like ha ha ha. Like to me that is one of the best parts of the movie is its disjointedness that all comes together at the end. But it doesn't seem too chaotic. It doesn't really while on one hand you're like, wait, what happened to those other people? Where are the diner people? It doesn't make it pull you out of the movie in any way.
Yeah, I think that it's a film that kind of like once you're down the rabbit hole, you'll realize that there's a gateway here to the Tarantino cult, and just a few general references, especially anyone who's new to Tarantino, kind of like the way SQUEEKA is, beyond her bizarre theatrical experience next to the man. Obviously the Red Apple cigarettes, the Fruit Brute cereal reference, these type of pop culture things is like it's almost like a brother from another mother, but he's a little bit more of an older film nostalgia person than me. Like he's really down the rabbit hole from like the 30s all the way through to the 60s, way more than me. Like he goes way down into, he's a way bigger fan of like Mean Streets than I am or something like that, right? But when it comes to like the pop culture stuff, like you were saying, Ironcaster, the stacking of how we talk and how we as nerds live. Like if we did like a new version, like let's just presume there was no Pulp Fiction. We had a Pulp Fiction that was dropping in 2025. You start to have like an Ultraman figure in the background. You start to have references to things that's what watching this movie is like for me. It's like, holy cow, this is like this universe full of these little references. And I don't know, SQUEEKA, did you get the fact that he purposely had Bruce Willis's character use the sword instead of the bat and the hammer and whatever because he loves Seven Samurai?
I didn't know he loved Seven Samurai. But I did love the fact that he did go for the sword. I'm like, oh, yes. And speaking of Bruce Willis, I had this one like ethereal moment with Bruce Willis when they first introduced him and he's in the bar or club or wherever he's at. And because of the lighting, people's faces are asymmetrical. Like the left side of your face is nothing like the right side of your face. But the way the lighting was really highlighted the asymmetry of Bruce Willis's face. So I had to pause it there and I would like cover up the right side and it was a totally different person, and I'd cover up the left side and it was a totally different person. Maybe that's just me, but I thought that scene was really cool just because I could do that, and it didn't even look like Bruce Willis when you covered up half of his face just because of the lighting.
I love that you do that. You actually made me love you even more now. Like it's just another interesting, odd quirk of SQUEEKA Mouse. I think it's freaking fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. That's awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad somebody likes my odd little quirks.
No, but I think we all have these things. Like I'm literally on the edge of my seat when they're in the car and they're driving and they're bantering back and forth and obviously this is the big comeback movie for Travolta, and he turns around and the gun is pointed towards the back. And as a bit of a gun person, I'm like, oh no, dear Lord, don't do that. But yeah, I never really pay much attention to the asymmetry of Bruce Willis's head, but now I'm not going to be able to unsee it because of SQUEEKA. So before we get too much down that rabbit hole, let's say hello to this wonderful chat. Snorty is in the house, leading the way, kicking down the door. How humans and other quitters. Thank you so much.
Grandpappy Burberry.
There he is. That's awesome, man. She is in the house. Great to have you, brother. Thank you so much for being here. Slasher Fred. Pulp Fiction is almost an anthology movie. It has many different stories tied into one movie. Yeah, there's a kind of an outline, and this movie was birthed out of a desire to do short stories, thinking they couldn't get money to do a feature film. And then they, of course, got sidetracked. He and Roger Avery that co-wrote it. Avery didn't really write it, but he did write the original short story, and he wrote some of the original pieces. So he has to have a story credit. Let's see. But yeah, there's little references to Royale with cheese and some of yeah, perfect. So, hey, great to see you, man. Awesome. Thanks for being here.
Well, the only thing Snorri Poopus forgot was the $5 milkshake.
Oh my gosh, the $5. What's funny is there's a place here that had a $5 milkshake, and it was like advertised as the $5 milkshake, like it was a big deal. And I was so excited. One of the best parts about watching movies that I haven't seen that are this old and that are this kind of what's the word for it? Like
Iconic.
yes, is that I get these references later, and so I'm like, oh my gosh, is this why that place had $5 milkshakes? Because they were, oh my gosh, they were darn tootin' delicious. Let me tell you, they were worth the $5.
It's a good $5 milkshake.
Tarantino has a certain style he developed all over the. Yeah, Visser, very unorthodox. I'm sure we'll get into some of those details as we discuss this movie for sure. I'm quite the Tarantino nerd. We'll definitely get into that.
Well, then you can sit next to him next time.
Oh, I would probably just rather have just gone outside and just hung out and talked to him about his next film or something like that. Would be more fun. So, if you have an interest in cinema because of my interest in photography, I love seeing how movies are made. Indeed. Documentary geek, behind the scenes, featurette geek. Yeah, with you. Enjoy that too. Beard is here. Hey, brother.
Uh-oh.
You know, so I had a coworker who I would work with, and because I started kind of getting and getting a little fascinated with the way movies were made, I would oftentimes start telling him about stuff. I'm like, oh, I was hear about this behind the scenes of this film, or there's some neat little thing about this movie going on, and I'm like, and I'm just kind of like going on about this stuff because like I've got that fascination with a lot of this, and he's always like, telling me, don't tell me this stuff. I don't want to know how the hot dog is made.
Yeah, there are a few people that are like that. I don't. So, look, the world's pretty big, and it's okay for those people. I'm just not going to enjoy being around them because that's just how I live. So I'm not going to be able to contain myself because I actually get excited over how films are created, the art of it all. I know some of you in chat, you've made those kind of comments. So, yeah.
See, I took a film school, like just a film class when I was in college because I had to have an extra elective, and it went into detail. Like it talked about the lighting and placement of people in doorways or things like that, or hallways, and it went into detail about more like the set design, the lighting, and stuff like that. Not like the film used or what have you. And ever since I took that class, I can't watch a movie without looking at stuff like that, like the lighting or who's in a doorway or the way a window is positioned. And to me, it just makes it more amazing.
I had a moment. There was a like one particular summer I really recall where that sort of cemented that in me and kind of gave me that bug to want to know more about all this. It was a year I was taking some community college classes. Fat lot of good. That was for me. Didn't use any of that. But the one thing that I really did benefit from was I wound up meeting the local movie professor. Like it's like a history of cinema type of class. And I took notice of the big old like Metropolis poster on his door, and I was like in awe of it. I'm like, this is absolutely beautiful. I love this poster. And he kind of started talking to me about the movie and kind of gave me a couple recommendations. And then that was also the summer I wound up watching Jaws for the first time. And there's that moment where the sheriff's on the beach and you get the camera zooming in at him, but then it's like pulling out, where it's like the background all just distorts behind him. And I was so enamored. I'm like, how do they do that? I started going down, having to find out how do they make all these little scenes, and that ultimately led to me, and as a result, starting to go down that route of like that big thick book, 1,000 movies to see before they're made. Getting a chance to see literally the invention of many filmmaking techniques, the invention of all this technology. It's such a fascination that's all came out of this couple little happenstance moments.
Well, we're hopeful that we can evolve, and maybe there'll be the Talk Hard Part 2 or Talk Hard on a different night where we can get into even other films that may be off genre, because we tend to have a certain sort of feel for this show on Tuesdays, because I'd love to have that same conversation. For me, it was a lot more Hitchcock, because Hitchcock predates all that. So there are techniques that are done. There are techniques that are done. Yeah, I know, me too. I'm just that were done like in the 50s and the 60s, where you're just like, how did they do a single camera shot for that? How did they edit rope together? It's like a whole rolls of film. It's like there's all these little things. I'm still in there. We just did a Pop's Angel show on Wizard of Oz, and it's like when she enters Munchkin Land, they use the stunt double. The scene, It's 1938, man. They thought of doing it this way, and that blows my mind. Like, it's completely insane. So, okay, Slasher Friends point out Close Encounters, another fun film. It's definitely an anthology movie. I love the idea of having multiple story arcs that kind of come together. I think that's great writing, and we just don't have enough of that anymore.
So I have a question since you're a Tarantino fan. So there were some things that I saw, and I know like the foot thing is a Tarantino thing, but like because I've seen Reservoir Dogs, is the you know when they get to the car and they're pulling the guns out of the trunk, is a trunk shot a Tarantino thing?
Yep, lots of trunk shots for sure.
Whoa, I feel like it's stalled now.
It's so the feet thing is so weird because once you see it, it's like every film, like literally Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, they're on Margot Robbie's feet and they're dirty feet because she's walked around without her shoes. It's like, oh dear Lord. Okay, I like her feet, I get it, but you're getting carried away, man. Like you're taking advantage of me being here. Like, yeah, the foot thing is a little too much. The nonlinear storytelling, Reservoir Dogs, Pulp Fiction, he does it less in some movies, but like when you get to like oh, guys, my brain cramps on me. Anyway, so there's a couple other movies where it's not as much, but yeah, he has some different tropes and things that he does, but he also likes to break a lot of things. So we'll see. A Woman's Barefoot. Yeah, there you go. Thank you, Gene. Yeah, 100%. Completely crazy. So, okay, so yeah, this was that's probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire movie. And I know I would love to be with SQUEEKA to go. Oh, let's back up for the trunk scene. Yeah, the trunk shot and inside the trunk out is definitely a trope that he would love. That'd be a kind of filmmaking thing. He would probably date this to a very specific crime movie, like a Cagney area movie or something. He would have some random movie that he knew of because maybe we should touch on that. SQUEEKA. The reason I don't know if you knew this, Tarantino worked at a video store. He's a video store employee in California. And he's like the encyclopedia of all of these movies. So these old movies, things that you've never heard of, he'll know like the fifth actress down in a movie. He's so unorthodox in Reservoir Dogs. They had the same. They stopped production to have him take some film classes because they didn't like what he was doing. It's freaking him out. So yeah, he has different little tropes and things that he does on purpose for that reason. I mean, Kill Bill, in a lot of ways, you could argue is like ripping off, famous, martial art films because I mean, literally, he's taking those scenes and putting them in Kill Bill. Like they're choreographed and they're right out of, some of those movies for sure. So, but this movie, I mean, this sequence, Slasher Fred. I mean, SQUEEKA, it would be a blast, wouldn't it, to go to a restaurant like Jackrabbit Slim's with all the people in costume and cosplay and.
Well, I used to work at a restaurant like that.
Yeah?
They had a restaurant. I think there's one still in San Antonio. I'm not sure. But there used to be one in Dallas as well, and it was called Magic Time Machine. And it was kind of like that. It didn't have a dance floor in the middle. But it was a restaurant. It had little booths and stuff, and there was a lot of different themed decor in different areas. And the wait staff, we dressed up as different characters.
Who was Squeak and Mouse mostly?
I did the Cheshire Cat, believe it or not, once. I was Mother Nature. I did Alice in Wonderland only briefly, but most of the time I was just like Mother Nature. That's what I did.
You didn't play one of the Three Blind Mice?
Sadly, no. And the fun part too was we got to like joke around with the customers, not in a rude way. But I mean, we could have fun and we could throw things at the customers. It was a good time. And
it was in character, right? You could just be in character and we give you a little leeway with that. Cool. Mm-hmm. Awesome one. Thank you. Pops hard. Indeed. Deborah Cohen. Okay, there we go. Thank you for that clarification. Appreciate that, Deborah. Great to have you and great to see you. Thank you so much for all your love and support. You say such kind things. So I get it. DAC now. Gotcha. Okay. Got it. I'm thick. Thank you for spelling out for me. Appreciate it. Poet didn't know it. Cool. Let's see. SQUEEKA, did you get a great job last night singing on Tony's live stream?
No, I didn't. I tried to turn the music on. It was horrible.
Lots of love. Look, tabletop's here. Cool, man. Awesome.
Hey.
I know. The foot thing. I know Zach. Zach couldn't be with us. I'm sorry, folks. I know that was advertised as such, but something happened with Zach. He couldn't make it in after all. So he's sad. We're sad.
It's because I'm here. He doesn't really love me. He just says that.
Oh, jeez. This is a great point too. With this dancing sequence with Travolta. So there's a lot of casting background that goes with a film like this, obviously this big. He didn't pick Travolta for the dancing because of his dancing acumen or his Saturday Night Fever thing, but because this is Travolta's like comeback film and everyone looks at this and goes, oh my gosh, Saturday Night Fever, the famous dancing sequences that he had done in these other movies. It sort of like takes on almost like that pop culture zeitgeist that Ironcaster you were talking about earlier. Like it kind of like almost has like an added layer of depth that Tarantino himself would just love, if that makes sense.
Speaking of love, can we take a moment to appreciate the dance floor? It's
incredible.
Love the dance floor.
Oh god, this place is great. It's so rich with character to it. Even like the floor is a giant clock to it. Is a giant clock. You have.
It's not a clock. It's a tachometer.
It's not.
Was it not?
No, it's RPMs.
Oh yeah, I see it now. There's the 40.
No, it's not a record player. It's a speed. It's a tachometer. It's a speed dial. It's
okay.
How fast you're going.
How fast you're
going. And the
Got
best
it.
part is it's so old. It tops out at 80.
That's awesome. Good eye, SQUEEKA.
I used to have an
yeah,
80
there it is.
Buick Skyhawk that topped out at 85, and I would race it with the local cops, and they would tag me to see how fast we could get her to go.
Wow. The other side of SQUEEKA. We went to a restaurant at Hollywood Studios, I think. And I think it was Hollywood Studios, and it had a sci-fi theater type feel. They had little cars like this, but they didn't have people dressed up, and they didn't have quite the ambiance I was hoping for with all the sci-fi stuff, but I was able to at least experience something close. But this would be like the dream, right? You know, if Pops ever had to have a restaurant, it'd be like this on steroids. It'd be like this kind of thing with it more of a 70s and 80s and 90s feel, because that's my era. But yeah,
I'm waiting for it. When are you going to open it? I'll be there.
You can't make any money in food. I mean, I don't know what we would do to make money otherwise, but this would be like the comic shop, right? This kind of stuff. Like this is the way it would be done. So
they have dance contests, apparently.
Yeah, it'd be cool to have a dance contest. Lip sync contest, like karaoke stuff kind of took over from lip syncing from back in the day. So sure.
I don't know. I mean, I think it seems like a lot of YouTubers have kind of gone the route of the karaoke contest and karaoke streams. So we could do the karaoke one of these times.
Yeah, man. Yeah. You don't want to hear me sing. That's not going to be my strongest point, but it could be fun. Could be fun.
Wow, it's well strong. Ain't you nothing but a hound dog?
Nothing but a hound dog. See, yeah, lots of people coming here. Bush showing up. Lots of singing Yahtzee song in the Christmas tree. There we go. Yeah, that's a tasty burger. Very good. Yeah. Thanks, man. Thanks. I love having you out there. Restaurant SoCal, Ed Debevich. Restaurant dialed to 11. Okay. I'll have to look that up. Maybe Ironcaster can throw it in a window and see if we can find out more about it. I looked up Jackrabbit Slims. There's a few people that have named their bar or restaurants, but they don't have this type of decor, and definitely not on scale, and definitely not as thoroughly homaged as what Tarantino's group pulled together. So
I giggled my heart out for a while when I first heard this, because I came from the land of the Jackrabbits, and we had a little side gas station called Jackrabbit Slims, and I was like, what? No way. And then this showed up, and I was like, okay, that's not my Jackrabbit Slims.
Wow, look at that pop art feel.
1950s inspired diners.
There's a lot of 50s diners that were all around, like even Mel's.
If I back up here, they got this whole thing going on.
Oh, I like that. I like the Chicago Retro Diner. Okay. All right. Very cool.
Do they have $5 shakes?
Probably not in today's inflation. They're probably $10
Find out.
shakes.
Let's see. Do we... They have $10 shakes.
No,
I see. Like I called my
Right
shot.
there.
I knew. Oh, that's great. That's awesome. Yeah, don't be. And she says rectangle. Yeah, because she doesn't really do a square, does she, Boosh? It's kind of more like a rectangle. It's kind of funny the way she does it. Yeah, it's funny.
I like that they took the time to draw the rectangle on the screen too. Like that was my favorite part.
Yeah. I think this movie is too one of those. I don't know. I'd have to survey the Pops kids to see who's watched it, and then have to try to get into the weeds of like what references do they actually get and don't get. Right. I think there's a major fall off between like Ironcaster's generation and like my kids. Like the square reference, I don't think they would understand that one at all. I think that would be like way outside the bounds.
So I did want to ask you guys.
Yep, let's do the conspiracy theory. What's in the case?
Yes. I want to ask you guys, what do you guys think is in the case? And let's start with we'll go SQUEEKA, then me, then we'll let our expert weigh in. How about that?
Do you want me to tell you what I found out while Googling because I wanted to know? Or
Of course you did.
I'm like, oh heavens, what is shining on his face? Because with the lighting angle and stuff, it wouldn't shine like that. You know, it's too dark.
But what did you think it was?
Originally, I'm like, okay, what's a case? So I'm like, it's probably some money. But then, like, with the lighting and stuff like that, I'm like, well, it doesn't sound and it doesn't move like diamonds. When you carry a case full of diamonds, you kind of carry it almost like if you're carrying water. It kind of sloshes unless they're packaged right. And that's kind of what would give you some of that shine. It's obviously not gold because it didn't thunk well enough when you put it down, and it's light. Like the sound of it when it hit the countertop was too light. So I'm like, okay, I gotta Google this so I can tell you what Google told me, or I'll wait till Pops answers.
Okay, so my theory in watching it today, and kind of taken into context a lot of the other stuff that happened throughout the movie, I think it's quite literally just like the concept of a miracle.
Oh.
Now, because you put this context with when we had Vincent and Jules in up in the apartment where they avoid being shot by any of those bullets. It's because at that point the case was in their possession.
Oh, I didn't. Oh, wow, you're so amazing.
And then you have Jules now having this kind of come about to God sort of moment where it's like it's sort of this predestined, like these are bad men. This is a bad man who has a chance to now be good. I think there's sort of that element to it is where I'm going. But I've heard people theorize it's literally a soul. But yeah, no, my theory is it's quite literally just the idea of a miracle. It is something of the divine.
This says, I also was going to say, it could possibly be your mom's chili recipe. Possible.
Well, we don't talk about that.
Now, does his mom's chili have beans? That's the real question.
It's a different scene, I think. Maybe that's why Vincent is in the restroom more than once. So, for sure.
Oh, and no beans.
So when I first saw the film, you're kind of coming away feeling like there's really two things came to my mind, like gold, but then like you said, the case is definitely not heavy enough to have gold bullion that's going to glow back. So for it to have that kind of feel, you would be like, oh, it's way too heavy for them to carry the way they're carrying it. So that was kind of out, but that was like I thought, well, that's kind of what they're going for maybe. Then I thought about the famous Elvis suit, the famous gold Elvis. He has a famous Elvis suit, and I thought, it's some sort of weird Elvis trope or some sort of weird thing that they might be going for. Obviously, I didn't think it was going to be radioactive, so the plutonium nuclear thing I didn't think was the thing. I always thought that, again, I've done the Google thing, I've been down the rabbit hole as well. I actually like the soul thing because there's a film, there's definitely an old school film noir trope about having like the soul or the demonic thing in the briefcase and they open it and it glows. And the idea that it's somehow Wallace's way, getting his soul back in a way, like somehow it's some sort of deal. It's getting his soul back and it's being moved back to him. I like that. And by the way, I don't know what anyone thinks, but Tarantino has perfectly said he's not answering this question. Like this is totally done on purpose just to be a random MacGuffin, that kind of thing. So, yeah, no, I think it's fun for thought. There's nothing else, isn't it?
Right. And I mean, just with my idea, because Jules is this devout believer who's quoting the Bible, even though in a lot he says at one point he's like, I didn't quite know what I thought this scene meant. He's in a way he's kind of touched the divine. He doesn't quite realize it yet, but he's starting to kind of piece it together, and he's willing to change his life over all this.
Yeah, I like the cult fan theory of the diamonds from Reservoir Dogs is what's in there, but that it wouldn't glow like the way it does glow. But I like the idea that it would connect like that, but that doesn't make sense relative. But yeah. Anyway, what do you guys in chat say? Come on, you guys haven't really given much to go. Always thought it was like a pure soul ticket to heaven. Now it's actually a mail-in ballot.
I mean, a pure soul in Hollywood would be pretty valuable.
It's full of Canadian loonies. That's what it is.
Yeah. It's a Repo Man reference. That's a good call, actually. There's kind of a Repo Man reference to the glowing. Yeah, it's a good call, Monkey Jeebus. Good one.
Is that another Tarantino film? Or is
no, that's just a rando 80s type film with just weirdness and stuff, so that'd be fine. So, all right, so we talked a little bit about the opening sequence with like Bunny and Pumpkin and how disconjected it felt. Then you meet the two of them, and then of course the big Kahuna Burger scene, and the end of Brett. What were your thoughts? Because I don't know what you remember, what you don't remember, Ironcaster, from previous versus watching it now. I really thought that he is able to get such great, believable dialogue out of like very odd and unique characters. So I think this is Tarantino's talent, is somehow his dialogue, while people try to emulate it and mimic it, it doesn't work. And he also creates like characters that you just can't believe are together working. And I think all these two scenes, I think it just flows. We always talk about the compactness of a film, like so much stuff happens. SQUEEKA, how'd that feel? Like things like all sorts of crazy stuff is happening really rapidly in this movie.
It's happening rapidly, but it's not like super. Like you get a good chunk of time in each scene. Like he goes on, and there's each scene is built up enough that you kind of know what's going on. Like they don't just walk in and start shooting. Like they walk in, they talk about the case, they talk about, you would know these guys are obviously working for Marsellus. It builds up enough of the scene that you don't feel like it's too fast. You know what I mean? Like it's just it kind of works. It's not like here's just a scene of him shooting some guy and then it blips off. Like there is still build up in each of the scenes. Even with the diner scene, they're sitting there talking. They talk about heist, and that turns into them talking about the heist at the diner, and then pulling out the guns. Like they each build up, and then it makes like this little story inside a bigger story, and then those all get connected together a little later in the movie too. So they're not that fast, in my opinion.
No, I agree. I think it is like, again, I don't mean fast like you feel like you're rushed. I just mean like there's no real wasted moments. Like even when they're not done with their conversation, they kind of like get to the door and then they back away and they start talking about the date, and then okay, now let's get in character. They step back. We don't really feel like they're wasting our time or anything like that, I think is kind of what I mean. But I think you're spot on.
And there's the buildup of what's to come that you don't know that there's buildup for.
100%.
So I love that they're making effective use of these little mini stories by giving you this exposition and these plot points, so that later on down you can, like I said, go back and reference. Oh, I remember that from the first scene. That's so and so, or that they talked about this, or they were in the car when this happened.
They're talking about Marcellus's wife and a foot rub.
Mm-hmm. Well, hey to Jacob. Hey to Chris Persia. Great to see you, man. Awesome. Yeah, Phil Mars in that corner, indeed.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so I'm Ocala is my stomping ground. First off, Deborah, if you ever get in the area, let us know. We'll figure out how to meet for lunch or something. Take a little Mrs. Pop's time. So yeah, I didn't know Travolta had moved up here. I know he had this massive place down in Tarpon Springs. That's where the movie, the Thomas Jane Punisher, that mansion. That's actually that general area there, I think, was Matt Geiger and Travolta territory. So that's their area. So I didn't know Travolta was up here. So interesting. Let's see. Yeah. There's also like little subtleties with how this scene plays out. And I will say it's one of the few movies where I feel like there's actually probably water. Maybe there is Sprite in that drink because, you can hear him actually slurping it. I don't think they did that in EDR. I think they actually gave him water, which it distracts me so much when I watch movies and they clearly don't have anything in their cups. Just they're not good at acting in that way. But yeah, loved all this.
Yeah. Some of the lines from the scene are just gonna be with me, like, check out the big brain on Brett.
Yeah.
Yes, that's another one of those quotes that I've said almost my entire life, all 187 years of it, and I didn't know it was from this movie.
and that's always the fascinating mark of a fantastic movie where you can be quoting the movie, have no idea what the movie is, but you know the lines. It's like not every movie comes along and gets to that status. You know, even before the days of memes. You know, for example, like people memed up like "It's Morbid Time," and it's like that was just a dumb line some people came up with that wound up becoming a popular meme of its own. You know, other lines are like stuff like the Avengers were like, "We're not a team, we're a time bomb." It's kind of dumb movies, dumb lines that kind of, you know, want to become popular, or stuff from Die Hard where they're like, "Yippee-ki-yay."
That's true. Yeah, there's lots of those. Big Kahuna is not a real thing. I know it's made up stuff, indeed. It's like Red Apple cigarettes and some of that stuff as well. So
I liked how they took the time for those small details, like not just the drink, but like when he goes to pick up the burger, like they zoom in on the burger. Like, like they didn't have to do that. They could have kept it on Samuel Jackson's face. They could have panned it around the room. They could have done so many other things, but they're like, no, we want you to think about this burger for a hot minute.
well, when we cut to, you talk about editing. Before we get, don't let me forget to get to the editing when they do the adrenaline shot, the epinephrine shot, because holy crap, the editing on that scene is amazing.
Yes,
Jacob,
and it's painful.
perfect.
Just in case you wanted to know, it really is painful.
Yeah, walk into the apartment, they're like regular dudes. Walk in the door, it's like get in. They announce it, get into character. I love that so much. I love that concept. So, empty cups in movie and TV is a huge pet peeve of mine. Beard, man, I tell you what, I was just watching something the other day, and I'm like, oh, I was so distracted by how bad it is. So, yeah, time bomb references. Joker's got great stuff in here. So, yeah, let's see. All right. Man, you guys are rocking in chat. Thank you so much. Yeah, I love this scene. Love the chemistry. Love everything about it. Just fantastic. I also like the fact too that there's the shots go off, right? It's the miracle. Sam Jackson's character, it's the miracle for Jules. And at first you see the 3 holes that go over their shoulder. They could have survived it. And then when he finally moves, then you see the other 3 holes. I think it's really cool to the way that Tarantino, he took a pause. He didn't get greedy. He made us think about it. So look at Awesome when he's doing the big Kahuna emoji special right there.
I like pineapple, not burgers. Sorry.
Pineapple sliced on a burger is not too shabby. Just like it's not too bad on pizza either. I had to go for it.
I see.
All right. One of the bits of editing I did really enjoy seeing was where they went and did the bit with the heroin, where John Travolta's character is going to go in, and just the distortion to it to show you that perspective of going on the drug trip.
Yeah, I think Tarantino wanted to take you down that rabbit hole of. Well, and I will say this too. I think for most normies like myself, we had not really given thought that the safest way to be a regular heroin user would have your own little kit. This very, hypodermic needles and just this entire kit that you would have total control over to keep clean and safe and whatever. And I think for us normies in the 90s, this was kind of like, oh, okay, that seems so obvious. I don't know why I never thought of that. So I think he takes us down that rabbit hole and puts it right in our face.
This scene shattered my little innocence, I tell you. I did not see this coming.
Well, let me ask you then, did you see the overdose coming?
Well, before we get to the overdose, can I point out the fact that can you pull up like Travolta with the coat over the arm? Like it becomes the ultimate confused meme, right? The Travolta wandering meme. Like did you get that, SQUEEKA? Where he's high and they go to he first shows up at the house and they have like the camera and she's upstairs and he just kind of doesn't know where to go. The intercom's on, and he's got his. Well, that's the famous Travolta meme, right? It's this confused meme that goes around. So I love that. I think it's one of those things too where I remember seeing it in this shot right here. This is this famous meme.
Well, and the best part too is like the intercom system. Like you knew that was top dollar for the day because those were fancy.
Yeah, super cool. Very cool.
I did when she started to when she found the stuff and she was about to take some. I was like, oh no 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 no! Like I was yelling at the screen to put it down, stop. I paused it because I was scared she was gonna die. I had to take a little breather. I was like, oh, I gotta finish this movie.
You guys are crazy. You're pointing out, yeah, Demolition Man, they eat sewer rat, indeed. Fast
That's a
Times,
rat?
another anthology film.
It's a good
Yes.
rat.
Sewer rat, yeah.
Don't-
The Demolition
don't
Man,
rat.
indeed. They do that meme at work when no one is around. That's so funny. Cool. Okay, I'm sorry. You can go forward now to, few overdoses. Well, that's after the dance, even. Okay, so again, there's a little hesitation. Like his reaction is off camera. We don't even get to see his initial reaction of finding her, but I think is also better than showing us because it's so much worse in our head.
Well, I mean, plus you put in consideration everything that's kind of happened here, like the fact that John Travolta and Jules Vincent had to go basically just take care of these guys who did Marcel wrong. Well, and that was over what he believed to be a foot rub of all things, and now he's like, oh shit, I brought the drugs into the house that killed his wife. Oh, I am dead.
Beard, I think we all agree. We wish there was like a secret SQUEEKA cam, but we'll see someday, maybe. So
Nobody needs to see that.
and I love this line, like bringing the overdose girl to my lawn and all this. I mean, Eric Stoltz is fantastic in this little role. This was the other role that Tarantino thought about playing. He didn't know if he was going to play the character that he ended up playing or he was going to play Lance. So, yeah, back and forth on that. So, it worked out.
Yeah. And then, of course,
love
we get your
this
favorite
guy.
scene.
This is the best. The editing on this shot of doing, and by the way, folks, there is actually a drug that you would give someone. This is not how we would treat it, but it's great for the movies, especially with what drug addicts would have in the house. Like this would be easier for them to obtain than an actual pharmaceutical grade. Is it called Noxaline? I think is how you pronounce it. Anyway, it starts with an N. I think it's what it is. I have to double check.
Narcan? Are you thinking of that one?
Yeah.
Is that its commercial name? Narcan?
I don't know if that's what we call it at school. I mean.
Okay.
So yeah, when I was 8 years old, I had a shot like this to the chest. It is scary.
Wow. You had a shot to the chest, huh?
Yeah, anaphylaxis will do that to you.
Gotcha. Oh yeah, I was trying to pronounce the chemical name. Sorry, silly me. Labels and all.
SQUEEKA's got a million stories.
Yes, she does. There's a whole lot of layers here to roll back. Thank you, Zach. Zach's new. Thank you.
Just call me an onion.
Yes.
One of these days, we're gonna go into the SQUEEKA-verse.
Oh, that's a good point, Fred. There's a lot of that in the Coen Brothers universes as well. Yeah, good point.
Isn't Fargo that one that's set in Dakota or something, like North Dakota or something? Okay.
Yep. That's another weird movie. Good stuff.
It was one I had to watch for a legal class.
A legal class? Interesting.
I mean, just like a high school Law and Order.
Mm-hmm. All right. But no, this is great. I think the editing too. There's a shot of what his arm is up, then they have a shot of the needle with 2 drips that come off. Then they show to the red dot. They're showing everyone's reaction. And by the way, I love the girl in the background. The girl that's just there smoking pot in the house, because if you were ever around people who were using a lot of drugs or dealing drugs, whatever, it seems like just always random people around. And Tarantino captured that beautifully, especially in the 90s. So funny.
So then the sort of the little work date winds up with them kind of going home, and everything's all kind of said and done. They're gonna walk away, and we're just gonna forget this to happen. Marcel doesn't need to know that I almost died because of a drug overdose. He doesn't need to know that you brought that into his house.
But then
she looks rough in that scene, though. How do you not know something went down? She looks
she's
rough.
post OD. I don't know how she looks the next day, but I think that they give you a payoff too, right? Because they give you SQUEEKA, they give you the bad pun joke, right? The Fox Sports 5 joke, right? About the ketchup.
Yes. That was,
I know it made Squeaker giggle.
because he beat the little dude and turned it and yeah, and I hate ketchup, so it made it even sadder.
It made her giggle. I 100% guarantee it. So.
Oh, it did. I paused. I do a lot of pausing because I get a little animated when I watch movies.
And, you know, I think there's even something on top of that to be said for sort of this being a scene of... a scene that kind of really stands out more because that whole idea of the pilot show just isn't done anymore, right? Isn't done anymore.
Yeah. I think it's great. And in fact, they even explain it in the movie for anyone who doesn't know what's going on, but I think it's even more so now because he kind of keeps it from being... I'm sure he didn't do this on purpose, but in theory... in a lot of ways, he kept this from getting dated to people that don't go, what's a pilot? No, they explained it in the film. So I think it's fantastic. So,
and I like that we see the softer side of Vincent's character. Like, it's almost like a little, it could have been me kind of scene where they're, you know, he's kind of falling for her, but he knows better. And, you know, he knows better. And she kind of likes him. And, you know, he saved her life and she feels closer to him. And the joke is kind of like their unspoken, like, bond of not just, hey, we made it through this, but hey, I really care about you, let me share this cheesy joke that we talked about.
Right. All right, then we get to Butch, at least part one of Butch, right? We have to flashback the Christopher Walken sequence, right?
Oh, dear Lord. Christopher Walken makes me laugh every time. I can't handle him.
His cadence is just insane in Tarantino dialogue. It's just incredible.
Wow.
And we kept this watch uncomfortable places for 2 years. It's like
that took a turn. Like he starts
watch,
and then he starts talking about the places. I lost it more here than I did the ketchup joke. I mean, my cheeks hurt. I was crying. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, the first time we saw this in the theaters, talk about WTF look on our faces. We're like, this is insane. Mother, your little boy is coming home. Yes.
It's just so out of nowhere. He just comes in, just talk about showing him about where he sticks the watch, and then and your dad wanted you to have it, and then he just walks away. We never see him again.
Nope, it's all flashback. It's wake up. Butch is dreaming. So poor Butch, he's having this traumatic sequence play over in his head over and over and over again. I love the fact that that's what Tarantino's doing, and it's such a subtlety because once you see it, you're like, oh crap, man! How many times has poor Butch dreamt this freaking traumatizing watch story? Holy cow! So
I was a little sad at the end of the movie because there were so many callbacks to so many scenes that I didn't get another walk-in scene. I was a little sad.
Right. Yeah. There's no other references to. Yeah.
I would have liked to have seen him walk in with just a little bit of a limp.
Jump forward if you want, or you have anything else to say about the watch?
Oh, just I would have liked to have seen him kind of walk in with just a little bit of a limp.
Jesus.
Ouch. Oh,
dear Lord. IRONCASTER. Yep. Here we go.
Oh, and it keeps it up there for years, and you figure it's going to develop up.
No.
Folks, make sure you put a little talk heart emoji in there for that. That's pretty good. So, and then the
guys, wait, guys, I want a watch emoji. So can we get that in the chat?
No, we don't have a watch emoji. But
where would you keep it?
You jumped way ahead on me now because this is post. This is way after. Hold on, we're way ahead.
I was a little limited for the screen caps here, so I just wanted a picture of Bruce Willis.
Okay, I like jump way ahead. So yeah, we have the boxing scene. He's supposed to throw the fight. He doesn't throw the fight. So.
And Mr. Persia.
See? Well, would you look at that, Pop? There's a watch emoji.
It's about time you got one.
Oh my God, dear Lord! Look at you guys. You guys are amazing and also disturbing. I love you all so much. Yeah, Booch, his mannerisms completely change. Yeah, he becomes so submissive, almost like this big masculine fighter and all that. And oh, look at Zach. Everybody's one-upping one another over the watches. I love it. And we go from 1 to 3.
That's
now
two
to
upping,
5.
actually. That's two upping.
Well, he's almost 2.5 times. Yeah, good point. Yeah, it's pretty great stuff. And then just this weird cab driver scene. Like, it's just, I gotta be honest, every time I watch this movie, I always forget about Angela Jones' place here as Esmeralda, who knows the ins and outs of everything. Like, she has no other cameos, no other story. Just, that's it. And just, we gotta unpack the Bruce Willis thing a little bit, and that's it. Moving him from place to place. So.
As he kind of gets out on Marsellus, we saw him earlier in the movie where he's like being told you're gonna throw the fight in the 5th round. And here he is, like, ducking out, and he's like, nope, I'm not doing that.
Yep. Yeah, they got a quick shot of the phone booth because he has to call the bookie, make sure all the bets were placed, and how they're going to pick their money up in a couple of days. And like he said, the girlfriend, Booch. She went to she say pouch, pooch? What'd she say? She went to pooch? Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Where are we at, Ironcaster? You've held on.
Oh, sorry. I had a little brain fart. Yeah, we'll just kind of. So he's kind of like, and so they're at the hotel, and it's like the one thing he cares about, above everything else, it's that watch.
Yeah, gotta go back and get the watch. Can't forget the watch. Yeah. And I will say, I mean, Squeaky, crazy watch story. At least you're rooting for him to go get the watch, right? Because the story was so absurd. I was, you're not. You want him to not get the watch?
No. I was like, dude, you just made tons of money. Your girl loves you. Just, leave your booty watch where it is and go home. Like, just go on. I understand it was a big deal for your dad, and it was carried in crazy places, and a lot of ordeals are happening. But at this point, I'd be like, peace. Just because I didn't want him to die. I was so scared he was going to go back. And they said that they were, stalking the place and watching for him. I'm like, no, I don't want Booch to die.
I'd be going back for it.
Yeah, I think that there's something there, like that watch. You got to get the watch,
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, that watch. I think that
after it was bought by his great grandfather, his grandfather carried it, and his great grandfather made sure it came back from a war. His grandfather wore it into a war. It's like there's been people have basically died trying to make sure this watch passes on to the next person.
Beard.
Freaking great beard, Lord.
I know all about prison.
Wow. All right, well, Pat I'm going to read between the lines here. I guess you got some good news. Sounds kind of muddled though, so I'm a little concerned for you. So let me know in IRL what's going on there. So I know, Zach, she has to let him down. I know.
It's typical female. I mean, goodness gracious, we can't be trusted. Not with your dad's watch.
Yeah. There's the language is used, so it's funny. Yeah, I agree.
If there had been diamonds in that watch, she would have remembered it. Just saying.
Maybe. But again, I think Tarantino does something I think most filmmakers don't do. Scripts didn't do, and that was having something so silly, like because most films love contrivances to make things just work out and why things happen at a certain time and place. And the fact that they play it up is because when Marsellus Wallace is just walking in front of the car, you're like, wait, holy crap, is that the dude? And because you didn't really see his face earlier, so you're not totally in line with what's going to happen.
And I mean, also, you think about let me pull that up. Just how absurd is that this guy who's got people take care of everything around him,
just going for a walk with no guards. Yeah.
And he's got 2 drinks, so you're like, maybe he's going to go get food for him and his wife.
Yeah, it's not discussed. It just happens to be one of those contrivances that we go along with, and I think it was kind of at least a lot more fun and simple. Rather than just something that happened. I don't know why I give this movie so much freedom from that. So I know there's no watch. He just went and bought another watch for $20. That's freaking great conspiracy theory.
It's just a watch. Like it's a watch without a watch band. It's not even like
It's a pocket watch. What are you talking about? It's a pocket
no,
watch.
it doesn't. It looks like a regular
No,
watch.
it's a prison pocket watch.
To me, it looked like just a regular watch. Maybe I just need to go back and rewatch it. It looked like just a regular watch piece without the bands to me.
Oh, I think it's a small pocket watch, but yeah, I don't know.
Now,
But that
I'm
pocket
gonna go
watch
Google
has
that. I
gone where
gotta
pocket
find it
watches
now.
shouldn't go.
Well, I mean, the thing was, if his grandfather bought it before going to World War One, it wouldn't have been a wristwatch because wristwatch didn't really start because until soldiers in World War One started tying them to their wrist. It was World War One that created the wristwatch.
I know.
No,
prison
that bad
pocket
boy.
watch.
That
I
bad
know.
boy's it's a wristwatch. I looked it up. It's a wristwatch.
All right.
What
Not
he's
sure I like
holding
that.
is a wristwatch. It's got the little loops instead of like the spring-loaded bevels that a normal wristwatch would have. It's got the little loops that you can put stuff in. But what he's holding is a wristwatch.
I do.
Looks
I do like the other scene that you had pulled up, Ironcaster, briefly, where Bruce Willis's character finds this crazy gun, and then Vincent Vega comes out of the bathroom. So again, if you remember the film's completely out of order, right? So the final scene in the restaurant, Vincent's got to go take a crap, right? So he's got something going on with his stomach. So he goes and takes a crap, and then of course now because this is now after that sequence, so this is his second bathroom trip, and he comes out with that book that he's reading, carrying around throughout the movie. So yeah, bye Vincent.
That's Marcellus's gun.
What do you mean it's Marcellus's gun? It's Vincent's gun.
That's
Vincent left it on the
Marcellus's gun.
table.
No, that's Marcellus's gun.
Oh, by the way, if you want to see the watch,
Yeah, see, look, it looks like a little wristwatch.
yeah, I guess it is a wristwatch.
Maybe. I don't know. Oh, dear Lord, Joker, it's great. Oh, they're constipated from doing that much heroin. Yeah, maybe. Okay.
Yeah,
that's
like
good.
I hold on. I think it. Oh, give me a second. When I was doing my rabbit holing, I found that was actually Marcellus's gun.
So maybe So let's connect some dots then, Ironcaster. Marcellus was with Vincent there at the apartment, waiting for him to come there, and he was going to get them food, and that's why the gun was there. And he went out, and is that what's happening?
That's exactly what said happened.
Yeah. And then Jules by that point had quit, so the two of them wouldn't have been together.
Gotcha.
But
Yeah, it says it's not Vincent's. It's Marcellus's gun. Marcellus and Vincent have been staking at Butch's apartment, and Marcellus has left to get them coffee and donuts.
Definitely a wristwatch. You can see where the leather straps go. Yeah, okay. In hindsight, I see
Let's
it, but
see.
it's kind of making it less. I don't know.
The watch itself is a key marker in the history of timepieces. Before World War I, it was common to carry a watch on a chain in your pocket, a pocket watch. Soldiers fighting the First World War demanded a watch which they could see using both hands. At the time, wristwatches, or wristlets, were more commonly made to slight ladies' jewelry. There are many examples of soldiers affixing pocket watches to bracelets. Because the situation is 12 o'clock instead of 6, the demand for the wristwatch saw many brands competing with it. Lancet was a Swiss brand produced by the Langendorf Watch Company. The watch of Pulp Fiction was a 1918 trench watch, a 15-jewel hand-winding timepiece, the kind of timepiece likely to be carried by a soldier in World War I, as described so memorably by Christopher Walken. Because so many were produced, they're still available quite regularly on eBay and other auction sites. Okay, so again, they went down the rabbit hole for us.
Yeah, good.
See, I pay attention to the movies I watch.
All right, go back to the bathroom shot because everyone's making sure I knew that the heroin addiction is what leads to the constipation and then why he's always in the bathroom. So I thank you guys for all you.
Wouldn't constipation keep you out of the bathroom?
No, you're still trying to go. You got to go. So.
Oh.
Yeah.
So they get So he's chasing them down. They break into the.
Yeah, he sneaks into like a pawn shop, and another fight's going to break out, and it's just that's Zed and Maynard, right? Freaking incredible. Zed's dead, baby.
Zed's dead, baby.
That scene. So again, everything just catches you so off guard. SQUEEKA, first time watching. I mean, obviously you see this kind of breaking out. And he calls his friend about the spider catching, a couple. All right. So we start to move forward, and they're in the gimp masks.
I just
You're-
did
you,
not.
ha- you had to have paused and be like, okay, what the hell have they made me watch?
I was like, I was following it. I was getting it. I was like, okay, I can see it. And then out of nowhere, these guys, I was like, wait, I'm not ready. And it's towards the end of the movie. And I'm like, I'm still waiting for Walken. Now we get this guy in the gimp suit. I'm like, wait, where are we going to go from here?
Well, even before that, even before they even before they say the word gimp, you're like, why do they have the ball gag there?
Yeah.
What's going on?
I wasn't going to confess that. Because I didn't want people to think, "Ooh, why is squeaking?" Yeah, and the implements in the background, and I mean, I paused this and was like, "What are they about to do to these guys?" Because this is some intense equipment they've got there on their walls.
Well, even before we get into even before we see the gimp, you look it's like one of the first things you see when Bruce Willis is kind of coming in. You see the big old Confederate flag. You hear the language that Zed is using to talk about Marcel, and you're like. I'm like, why do they have the ball gag? Wait, where's this going? And they're like, get the gimp. I'm like, what? Why do we have a gimp?
Yeah. In the theater, it was like, could not believe it. Like, what is happening? Kind of stuff. So, and again, the famous. I'll quote Weird Al Yankovic, who parodied the line when he called it, "I'll go medieval on your hiney," in his. Amish Paradise song when he references this movie, he calls it medieval on your hiney. The freaking best sequence, man. Marsellus Wallace is the best.
Eeny,
torch.
meeny, miny.
Oh my gosh!
Mo.
Yes, that rhyme.
Yeah. Yes. So good.
And of course we
Oh,
there he goes.
sword.
Samurai sword.
Bruce Willis all covered in blood. You're like, oh, this is gonna be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it delivers. And then you go get through a little bit to Zed in the motorcycle. Sorry, chopper.
Well, and then him and Marcellus kind of have that agreement. They're like, okay,
Yeah.
we good.
Yeah.
Because of the event, we're not going to talk about this like that bro code.
You cut off from L.A.
So writing a story like this, you're going to try to come up with these random ideas, and you're like, you got Bruce Willis into this situation. You're like, how do you get him out of a situation? He has to be able to prove his worth or do something for Marsellus Wallace that is so extreme that he would be allowed to be let off the hook. Said.
I like the fact that during this scene too, like he gets into this fight, he's running, like one of the I don't know if y'all noticed, he's wearing his father's watch the whole time. Like he's in this little mini war of his own, and he's wearing his watch.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure
He's wearing it. Yep, Zed's dead.
I just find some. Yep. I needed something that said like Zed's dead.
Nice
Yeah, I
chopper.
assume there's tons and tons of shirts and stuff that have been done in honor of.
And then out of nowhere, we cut back.
Well, it's the story because now he lets him go. So like he's gonna drive the motorcycle. We got the chopper. You guys are not correcting me. The chopper over to get the girlfriend. Where'd you get the motorcycle? You mean the chopper? Zed's chopper.
I mean the chopper.
Zed's dead. Zed's dead, baby. And then they just ride off. That's their story. That's the end of their tale. They're gonna stay out of town, go to Tennessee.
They're gonna go to Bora Bora.
Well, I don't know about Bora Bora, but they're at least going to Tennessee. So I hope they go to Bora Bora. Otherwise, someone's going to come get them. So
Zed's dead, baby.
Yeah. And then we
gonna have a
transfer
kid
to
who was
another
dead.
story. Right?
And then we rewind the clock.
And and again, I would have loved to see SQUEEKA's face for like, what is happening? Like, what is going on? Yeah. We have Marvin. Marvin's in the back seat. And
We have this little weasel.
Yeah, Marvin was a little dude in the corner, right?
yeah, wait, this is we already took care of this guy. This was from the earlier scene. This is the earlier scene when he pops out for the miracle shot, right?
Yeah, but this is when the movie kind of cuts back to giving us that little story and giving us more about the miracle.
You're right. No, that's right. Okay. Yeah, you're right. So they give us a quick little shot of the flashback of what actually happened, and yeah, okay. The hand cannon. And they start yelling at Marvin.
That thing's bigger than him.
Take care, Joker. Talk to you soon, brother.
This scene, I screamed. It scared. I didn't see it coming, and I'm not kidding. I screamed at the TV screen. I did. I fell off the couch and was like, "Wait, what? No!" Yeah, I just didn't see this
in
coming.
the theater. When I saw this, he turns around with that gun pointed. Like, "Oh crap!" I was like, I was like, "You don't do that. You don't do that." And I think he hit a bump or something. It was like, oh my gosh, Marvin is everywhere. And they don't let it go with Marvin being everywhere. There's so many references to picking up brain and skull, being on brain detail. I mean,
Why am I picking up the skull?
You're the one who should be back here on brain detail. I know.
He's like, I am a mushroom cloud.
Mm-hmm. Ready to go nuclear. Oh yeah, trigger discipline. Yeah, man. It's just nuts.
I have no trigger discipline.
So obviously they gotta get off the road, go to Jimmy's house, and Tarantino does what Tarantino does best: is he gives his character so many N-words that you feel uncomfortable. And
I did not like that about this movie.
Yeah, so Tarantino always does this. He always plays in his own movie. He'll usually play the character that another white person should never play. He's pushing the envelope of and they try to cancel him for this. He's like, screw you people, I don't care. But the black people don't care. Why do you care? And it's because he's trying to represent that person that's in this environment with these people. Obviously, Bonnie, the wife, it's called the Bonnie situation. The wife has no clue that Jimmy is so connected to these gangsters, or she wouldn't be so traumatized when they were all in her house. But the fact that he just goes so far with the N-word and over again, and just, it's great. I love Jimmy. I think Jimmy is a very underrated. Jimmy, I want a movie of all these random great Tarantino characters. Now, he didn't direct it, but he wrote True Romance, right? And that's Brad Pitt's the pot smoker character, Ironcaster I'm talking about. Brad Pitt's character in True Romance. It's like, these are the kind of characters they all need to be done in a movie together, like Jimmy and those kind of guys. So, yes, I know. I just shot Marvin in the face. That's freaking. That probably would be a shirt, but probably not. So, hey, take care, DJ Ronnie G. Talk to you soon, man.
And then they got to make some phone calls, and they got to call in. I think one of the coolest characters in the movie, who just doesn't get quite enough love, considering just how many great memorable characters this movie has.
Yes,
the Wolf.
The Wolf is great.
I love this guy. What else has he been in? Because I feel like I've seen him before.
Oh, he's been in a million movies. Oh yeah, Harvey Keitel is his real name. Which Tarantino movie did you see?
Reservoir Dogs.
Yeah, he's in Reservoir Dogs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that, but I mean, other than I feel like I've seen him outside of the Tarantino scope.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think of stuff. Guys in chat will have to help me. I'm trying to think of things that would cross SQUEEKA's radar screen.
The Irishman.
That's a mafia movie. She wouldn't have seen that.
I haven't even seen The Godfather, that other one.
Neither's Ironcaster.
It's my little friend. What's the Say Hello one?
What about Nashville Treasure?
Scarface. No, I've seen that.
No. Maybe I've seen pieces of him, and that's why I know. But I love this guy. I loved his voice. I loved him.
I'm looking at the resume of all these movies. I don't think any of these things would be stuff that she has seen.
No, she probably hasn't seen From Dusk Till Dawn either.
No, I don't see anything.
I've seen pieces of it because, Selma Hayek.
I don't think he's in the Selma Hayek scene, though. Yeah.
No, but Quentin Tarantino is.
Yes, he is. Yeah, but I don't think she's seen the.
You don't understand. It is imperative that she pours tequila down her leg into my mouth, where I'm like drinking it off her toes.
Yeah, he's. I know. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. So, all right. So the Wolf. We have to move. We're down to 15 minutes. We have to hurry.
Okay.
We have a whole other segment to talk about. So yeah, I love the fact that here's Jimmy negotiating with the Wolf to get compensated for their use of quilts and blankets because of sentimental value from an aunt and uncle that gave it to them. Only Tarantino could come up with such an insane scene like this. And look at how he shoots it, like way off to the side, like it's all cattywampus. And then we put them, and that's how we get them in their ridiculous outfits that we see earlier. So it's great. This had to be the aha moment, SQUEEKA, where you're seeing all this stuff transpire.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yes.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we sort of.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
No. You go.
I was saying then we sort of bookend back with diner.
Right, because they got to get something to eat. They don't have a car, so they got to go something to eat. And now we're back full circle with the diner, which you don't pick up on until you hear Garçon, right? Because they made something so absurd in the background, and now you're totally in our Reservoir Dog type face-off. Everyone's got guns on each other. Yeah. Honey Bunny is in trouble. Pumpkin is in trouble because they're dealing with the bad MFer who's trying to go straight.
Yes, and I've heard the line about mine's the wallet that says bad MFer on it. Like I've heard that line before too. So
Sure.
I mean, I didn't know where it was from, so to hear it, I was like, of course it's from this movie. Of course it is.
We're all going to be like Fonzie here. What's Fonzie like?
Be cool.
Come on,
be
Yolanda.
cool.
Yolanda? Be cool. That's so good. And I just love that this all feels. I don't want to say it feels like it could happen, but I feel like it could happen because it just seems like absurd enough to be reality.
I agree with Beard. This is what happens at a Waffle House. Like,
oh, maybe. I felt like I'm in a Denny's though. I feel more like a Denny's than a Waffle House, but yeah, I could take it. Yeah.
Well, see, if it was a Waffle House, it would have just been a fist fight.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah, super good. Can you get to the last shot where they have they put their guns in their shorts because they don't even have their suits on anymore? Because that's the best. I just love. This is how the movie's going to end.
Do I have that here?
Oh, it's got to be there somewhere. It's my favorite because
I think I got it.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, but I got it.
All right, so this is to me was just
Yes.
So I can't tell you how many times when my son would put his gun in his front of his pants, and my wife would make comments about shooting off his boys. It's like now he has 3 kids, so he doesn't even care when she says things like that. But I'm just like, oh dear Lord. So, yeah.
Well, because they've got one chambered, so it's like, guys.
I know. So. There you go, Pulp Fiction. In Fast Forward, we kind of cut really quickly through Fast. We could do 3 hours of Pulp Fiction. It's so deep with so many things we could talk about.
There's just a lot to really piece out and kind of talk about with like every single scene of this movie. And for all the good and bad there is, because we're going to want to talk longer than the movie itself is, and it wouldn't even do the movie justice.
Yeah, Pat, I totally agree. And Beard, I still think it's just a horrible idea to have it in the front like that. Like, oh dear Lord, it just seems like the accident waiting to happen. I can't do it. I can't holster in the front like that. But no, there's so many lines, there's so many dialogue references. We could do 20 minutes probably on the dance sequence. We could do. It's incredible how many things. And then we didn't really get into the amount of. I think you were talking about the lighting and how it distorts and kind of changes your perspective of looking at Bruce Willis. There's so many other scenes that are like that where he'll purposely put, something in orange or I'll put something in like a blue, and you're like, wow, why did you do that? You're asking, why did you do this? Why did you do that? So, anyway, very good, very good.
Well, and I like how every character kind of gets wrapped up a little. Like they have closure. Everybody has closure by the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Like even the one scene with Walken has its own little closure. He tells the story, gives it the watch, peace out, he's done. Like every person has closure in that story, except for poor Marvin. He just dies.
Well, that's closure.
Sure,
so
I know. But...
So I want to ask you guys, what was your least favorite part of the movie? Like, because this is one of those movies that is easy to like, but what's the least favorite? for me, it's probably going to be the diner scene. Like it's a fun one, but the thing is, there's so much more entertaining stuff in the rest of the film that really just kind of the stuff with the diner and the drug overdose. It doesn't really do it for me. Like having Samuel Jackson just in any scene, and having him be able to bounce off of John Travolta. The chemistry of those two, I feel like, is some of the strongest moments in the entire film.
I can kind of see that, but I feel like the diner scene is a good allegory for the whole movie. There are two criminals. They're starting out. They're small-time criminals. They happen to be a couple, but they're really close. And we go through this glimpse of Vincent and Samuel Jackson's characters. Pip, I think is his name. Like the stuff that they go through in their own version of their life of crime. And then we come back to the diner where we've got these new criminals and these seasoned criminals. And it's the seasoned criminals like, no, man, no. Here's you 1,500. Get out of this. Go on with your life. And it gives it a good overall closure to what they've both been through and how they're going to retire from the business and kind of go their ways.
Pops?
I don't know that I have whole sequences, but I can say if I had to cut a movie, so you're saying, all right, I don't want a 2 hour and 30-minute movie. You want to go to like 2 hour and 15. I probably would start with the taxi cab sequence with Butch. Like I don't need as much of Esmeralda. I may not cut all of Esmeralda's scene, but I could trim a lot of that down. And the sequence where he's going back for the watch, there could be some work done to trim some of that around a little bit to make it a little faster. But I don't have much here to work with that I'd want to mess with. This movie, I like the diner. I think SQUEEKA hits the nail on the head because it sets up Jules' speech at the end of where he tries to rework his fake Bible verse, the Ezekiel verse, where he's trying to rework the fact that he is the monster, but he's trying not to be the monster. And I'm like, okay, that is a good metaphor for this entire journey where you have these hitmen and then what actually happens, and the fact that Vincent stays in and gets killed like moments later. That easily could have been Jules too. So yeah, it's I don't know that I have a lot of script here to play with. That's why it's such a great script. So
well, again, I didn't say cutting scenes. I just said least favorite.
Yeah, that would be my least favorite scenes, the cab sequence. There's just not a lot of meat on the bone for me, I guess, right there. I don't have to have that to get why Butch does stuff and him the cigarette. No, you're kind of wasting my time a little bit to get to the part where I care more about with him going back and stuff. So it's like the least. Again, I'm not out there. Yeah, Zach, you're right. I'm not wanting to change in it, but if I have to change something, that's probably where. So
I agree. That was my least favorite part too, because I feel like that even if they needed that exposition, it could have been done elsewhere. Like I liked the part and I liked how they did it, but that exposition still could have been somewhere else. And
well, she doesn't give me much. Like her going, well, what did it feel like to kill, punch a guy to death? Well, who cares? It's irrelevant to the story. We don't need any of that. The little.
I meant like more like the exposition of the fight being thrown.
Yeah. We already had all that.
Somebody for him to talk to kind of lead us into the next scene.
Pat ass. And only a Catholic could call out Jules for not being that's freaking great. Thank you so much for that, Pat. That's freaking hysterical. That's so awesome. All right, so it's your first time watching SQUEEKA. What do you think of this movie?
Oh, I loved it. I want to watch it again. Like I loved Reservoir Dogs too. I think I like the soundtrack on Reservoir Dogs a little bit better than this one, but I love the soundtrack on this too. But I want to go back and watch it again. Like I said at the beginning, just to re-watch it to see all of the pieces that I know are going to fall into place sooner, to see those smaller bits and pieces that I may have missed before because I wasn't expecting some of the closure I got at the end.
Agreed. Okay. IRONCASTER?
It's one I definitely do want to. There's a lot of this movie I do want to go revisit. I don't know if I'm going to go sit down and immediately try to rewatch it because, again, the stuff with the Uma Thurman stuff. Just I didn't really care for that as much with the film, and I thought there was a lot of other bits that really caught my interest more. Basically any scene with John Travolta and Samuel L. Jackson with those two together is just magic. I adored those scenes. I love the back and forth with the way those two are kind of playing off of one another. It shows that Quentin Tarantino is just a master of dialogue in a way that I haven't seen very many other films match. And in a way, it's one of the things I would like to see more people. I almost want to see more people try to copy this than to try to copy something like Joss Whedon's isms for all the Marvel films.
Well,
yeah, and I think that what Tarantino does though is he carries these screenplays. So behind the scenes, you'll hear him do these things. He'll work on these movies for like 4 years, and he's reading the dialogue aloud over. Hundreds, if not thousands, of times. Things are getting read out loud to feel right, to set things up, to change. I would love to understand more of what doesn't make it. Like understand what some of the precursors. I don't spend enough time trying to listen to him talk about that. I would get more like little pieces of how it falls into place, but yeah, we definitely don't get it. Yeah.
This doesn't make me want to sit down and watch. There was a show Robert Rodriguez used to have on the El Rey network where he would sit down with directors and they would talk about films. And I know Robert Rodriguez was friends with Quentin Tarantino, so that's something I kind of want to sit down and go watch, and kind of get back to kind of go and check out sort of his mind when it comes to filmmaking. The man has a brain you want to pick.
Gotcha.
But speaking of dialogue, we see, I feel like Uma Thurman's a good counterpoint to seeing John Travolta's dialogue change, because he's so assured of himself and he talks about the things in Amsterdam, and he's very self-confident, but then during the time that he's with Uma Thurman, we see him go through fear and nervousness and things like that. So I think it's great at that, using that dialogue to show like just it's not just, hey, I'm this super cool guy, look at me alongside Samuel Jackson. You get to see that other window, and I feel like that dialogue too is written, it's amazing, just the level of fear he goes through and things like that. And I feel like that's just as important a piece to seeing that Vincent piece as the counterpoint between him and Samuel.
And I don't think a movie until this one used the term, or definitely populated the term, awkward silence. I think this is the movie that kind of popularized that sort of thing that happens in our conversations. We have those awkward silences and things like that. So I think this was a film that kind of does that, and it capitalizes on that to transition Vincent to be a lot more multi-layered than just being a cold-blooded assassin. So, and Zach, I think this is really one of the cool things about being cool, right? Is there are movies that you enjoy that feeling, right? I know we talk a lot about 300. I think Get Shorty with Travolta is another one that Travolta pulls off being cool. There's certain kind of experiences in film that's like that for sure. So, yeah, everyone in this movie is a sociopath. I know, it's completely crazy. We love it. So, yeah, character growth. I know, what a concept. Yeah, I know. We trust me. We're approaching this film from admiration. I actually don't watch this film very often because I don't want to ever feel tired of it. So I probably am only a once a year or maybe once every other year kind of person. Mrs. Pops doesn't want to watch it again. So this is an elite class film for me because the dialogue and stuff is so good. So I try to make sure that I keep it as elevated on my list and experiences as I can, because I loved it then and I love it now 30 years later. So. Oh, Scott Westbrook, thank you so much. $5 super sticker. Appreciate that. Oh, man. Thank you again for being a member and supporter. Thank you for that, man. It's great. And yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah,
awesome.
I want to watch it again, but I won't watch it recently. Won't watch it too close to it'll be a few months before I watch it again, but I definitely do want to watch it again just to see how the pieces fit together better.
It's got me wanting to sit down and watch some more Tarantino films.
Yeah,
I do want to watch Reservoir Dogs again. Yeah,
I want to figure out how to. I love people's take on like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, because I think it's one of these films that I have such mixed feelings. I hate the alternate history stuff he does, but I love that film so much. Otherwise, so. But we are out of time. That is Talk Hard Tuesday. That is Talk Hard Pulp Fiction. We can barely scratch the surface of this film. That's oh man, I tell you what, it's so much fun though to get like this first reaction from you guys, because even though Ironcaster, you've seen it, you feel like I may have missed pieces of this, or I don't remember pieces of this. So it's definitely that kind of experience as well. So super cool.
I kind of walked into the stream here today like, I don't remember there being a gimp.
I know. Has anyone ever been eating the quarter pounder with cheese while listening to the speech about Royale cheese? I haven't.
How did we not even talk about that?
Yeah, well, we kind of just briefly, because we skipped that piece as the setup for Big Brain on Brett, right? That's so. Yeah, this was that movie, indeed it was. So yeah, amongst other things.
I'll have to watch that one.
That's So, all right. Well, listen. Thanks for being here. And awesome. Thanks, guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out. Chat's always amazing. I'm sorry to be so rushed out the door, but hey, Mrs. Pops is probably like, we got all stuff to do. We got a hurricane coming again, so hopefully keep us safe.
Safe. Oh, please be safe. We've been tracking that. I'm a mini meteorologist at heart, so I watch.
This one's a little close to home. We're a little anxious on this one. It's like because when you're on the northeast side of them, that's where the tornadoes and stuff are the worst, and that's where you get the most rain for the longest period of time and stuff. So we'll probably lose power sometime tomorrow night. I think it's probably Wednesday. I don't know if it'll be that soon or not, but if not, it'll be Thursday, and we'll go through our day or so. Well, then we'll kind of see, and hopefully, maybe it won't escalate as high as I think. It'll be closer to a 2. I don't know, but we're. Oh yeah, Scott. Yeah, you're in the harm's way, man. Scott, just please, Scott. He's way closer to where this thing is headed than I am. So please keep Scott in your thoughts. So
all of y'all be safe. Oh, crazy.
Good luck, guys.
Yeah, my wife's going to meet my son with one of the generators tomorrow, because we have different generators. So he's going to take one because he's up in Georgia. And it's headed towards there as well. So just so he has a generator on hand, doesn't have to figure out how to get one. So, but sorry to be rushing, but have a good week, everybody. Next week is a fun one. We just kind of snuck it in because I don't think.
Wow.
Ironcaster, had you seen Hackers?
I don't think I have.
Yeah, maybe that's why we rushed it. SQUEEKA, you loved it, right?
I love that movie.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Arwen's supposed to be with us. I have to remember to remind Arwen because she had not seen it, and I don't think Ironcaster had seen it. I think that's who hadn't seen it. But anyway, we rushed Hackers to the list just because of that. I'm like, okay, cool. I've already watched it like twice since we had that conversation like a month ago, maybe.
I need to rewatch it, but I watched that movie.
It's such a goofy, fun movie that just feels. I mean, it's still got all of its problems. It's not a great film, but it's a fun film for what it is. And I don't know. Great characters too. So, all right. Well, folks, enjoy your week. Be blessed. Check out everybody's stuff that's out there. Keep LOKI in your thoughts as well as you're juggling stuff. And Zach's, hopefully things even out for you, my brother. And you guys have a good week. Take care, everybody. Talk to you later. I am Pops. Let's watch that intro again.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah.
Let's do that again since we have all this. We do all this stuff for 2 minutes. Let's do it again.